Hello everyone. This is a short Q&A. I got a comment asking about some of my meta videos and how did these guys find practice games, because that is one cheesy list. Specifically, this was about taking more than one flamethrower, so barbecue lists. That there are certain places and metas where um, barbecuing is heavily comped, so you can't bring more than one or two flamethrowers in your list. So this is my response to that, and so the most of the tournaments that I comment on, that I make meta for, these meta analysis that I have, um, are competitive tournaments. Competitive tournaments, it's always up to the TO to decide if they want to comp anything. And some TOs do, in order for it to be more to their liking, which is perfectly fine. Warlord Games have several times stated that they don't own how the game is supposed to be played. They don't want to decide for people. You can play the game like you think it should be played, like you want it to be played, but there is no right way of doing it. So um, so different people will have different inclinations and think different things are good, and that's one of the conclusions of my meta analysis from different countries and different tournaments, is that change small things, and you get huge differences in outcomes, and that people different places see different things as being good, and as being normal. So the tournaments that I myself host are typically very competitive and very allowing everything. Not that they're not nice, and people are extremely friendly, and it's I really love my own tournaments. But you can have competitive tournaments, really competitive tournaments, really where people bring the cheesiest stuff, and it's still good. So it really, whether or not people would want to play against something is not really an issue for me. It's a question of setting expectations, of setting the right expectations for what you're going into. So, and I think that most of, in answering that part of the question, most of the times when we hear non-competitive players grumble, um, and some of the nasty comments online sometimes are for non-competitive players that sort of would want competitive players to shut up and not be so competitive. And I think that's wrong in many ways, and I think it mostly boils down to setting expectations. That if you set the right expectations, if you're all agreeing on what the game should be, then that is good. If you go into an event and you think that it's going to be one thing and it turns out it was something completely different, then that is bad, and your expectations gets crushed and you think something is wrong. So what I would suggest to all TOs everywhere is set the right expectations. Be very clear in your communication to your players, to your community, in what it is you want from this event, this specific event. From communities, like larger communities, like for pickup games or whatever, I think you should be very open about what it is that you like and what you don't like, and you should agree on that. But you shouldn't be gatekeeping. You know, right? I don't know how many. There's a lot of non-native speakers here. Gatekeeping is when you try to decide what is right and what is wrong, right? Um, and since Warlord Games won't do that for us, there is no right and wrong. So we can't decide that something is right or wrong. We have to set the expectations every single time. If it's just for pickup games or for friendly games or whatever, you have to set the expectations. What do you think is all right for this type of game? You have to be open in your community about that. What do you think about this? Most pickup games, most casual games, would want the lists to be fairly evenly matched, especially if you're playing against someone that you don't know as a person, or like it's a new friend or whatever. You don't want to just show up to an event like that and just beat them over the head with something that's really good and really competitive. You want an even match because you want that equality. Now, specifically, the comment here, the commenter, he asked uh, about the the barbecue lists, and people in his community feel like that they are completely overpowered. Um, that's not necessarily true. They might be if you don't know how to play against them. If you're not used to them, yes, facing a barbecue list is terrifying if you're not used to playing against it. But if you comp your local meta, if your local meta is one barbecue, one flamethrower max, then that makes something else good. Then your local meta moves to a different place. If there are no, for instance, if there are no flamers in your local meta, then assault troops become really, really good, because flamers are the antidote to Gurkhas, for instance. Veteran assault troops, they melt away to flamers. Body armored Soviets, they melt away to flamers. So if you remove flamers from the game, then they become good. Then you can start comping assault troops. So you can say, well, that you're not allowed to bring any assault, one assault unit per army. Okay, then you make something else good. So every time you comp, every time you say something is allowed or something is not allowed, you're making something else good. Something else becomes the meta. So the main point here is, no matter what you do, no matter what you disallow from your meta, you're just making something else good. So if you want your players in a certain meta to be more relaxed, to play relaxed games, then it's the setting of the expectations, not the setting of rules for what you can and cannot bring, that is going to get that for you. That would be my comment. And as for the how do they find people to play against? Well, if you want to be the best, you're going to have to compete against the best. So people who go to these very competitive events, they want other people to bring their A game, to bring their A list, to bring all the cheesiness that they can possibly get, because we want to be able to beat that. That is what makes us good. That is what that's the competitive jam. That's what we want. Right. Thank you so much for the comment, William, and cheers, everyone.